That day, my father-in-law told me to choose one of the three girls. The third daughter stood in front. Her eyes were bright and watery, the undisputed beauty of the whole village. The eldest was as plain as a dirt ridge, cowering in the corner, head bowed, fingers twisting her hem. I walked over and took the eldest's hand. Everyone in the room froze. My father-in-law tapped his tobacco pipe. After a long silence, he said, "You sure have a sharp eye, kid." I said nothing then, but I knew I had made the right bet, because I saw what others could not. 1995, Liu family courtyard. Today was my wedding day. The courtyard was packed shoulder to shoulder. All of them were villagers here for the spectacle. Liu Fugui, my father-in-law, sat in the high-backed armchair in the center of the main room. He took a puff from his dry tobacco pipe. Smoke swirled around him. I could not make out his face. He called me forward, and I stepped up. "You've met them all. My Liu family has 3 daughters. Pick one. Choose right, and you marry today." As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd started buzzing. The 3 daughters came out of the inner room. Liu Liwan, the third daughter, walked in front. She really was beautiful. An oval face, big eyes. A brand new red padded jacket made her skin look snow white. She winked at me. A confident, sure of it smile played at the corners of her mouth. The villagers all said I had come for her. For her, I had agreed to come to this backwater and be a live-in son-in-law. Liu Qiuyun, the second daughter, followed behind. She was fairly decent looking too. There was always a smile on her face, but it never reached her eyes. She looked at me once, then at her younger sister, with the look of someone waiting for a show. At the back was Liu Ruyan, the eldest daughter. She almost shuffled out along the wall. She wore faded gray cloth washed almost white, with worn cuffs already frayed. Her head was bowed. Her hair was dull and yellowed. Her face was sallow, too. She was folded in on herself, like a dry clod of dirt on a field ridge. Everyone's eyes were on me, pressing me, and waiting for a joke at my expense. Liu Liwan thrust her chest out again. Her chin lifted even higher. I did not look at her. My gaze passed over her, past Liu Qiuyun, and landed on Liu Ruyan in the corner. I started walking. The crowd fell silent. Everyone thought I would go to Liu Liwan. The smile on Liu Liwan's face had already bloomed fully. I walked right past her. Her smile froze. I walked past Liu Qiuyun too. Amusement on her face turned to shock. I stopped in front of Liu Ruyan. She seemed to sense something. Her body jolted. She bowed her head even lower. Her fingers twisted the frayed hem of her clothes. I held out my hand. Without hesitation, I took her hand. Her hand was rough. Her knuckles were thick. Her palm was calloused all over. But it was warm. She jerked her head up. Her eyes were full of disbelief. The whole room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone was stunned, as if they had been frozen in place. Liu Qiuyun's face instantly turned liver red. She pointed at me. She shrieked, "Fang Yuan, are you blind? What do you mean by this?" Liu Fugui coughed. It was not loud, but it was forceful. He tapped the copper tobacco pipe in his hand. He knocked the ash clean onto the sole of his shoe. He lifted his eyes. His cloudy gaze stayed on me for a long while. After a while, he refilled the pipe. He lit the tobacco again slowly. He took a deep drag. Then he slowly exhaled a thick plume of smoke. "You brat," his voice was hoarse, but steady. "You've got a sharp eye, kid." I just tightened my grip on Liu Ruyan's hand. I had seen what others could not. In my previous life, I was a project manager. I had fought my way through all kinds of human relationships. I don't judge people by their looks. I judge their nature. In the days since coming to the Liu family, I've been observing in secret. Liu Liwan was beautiful, but aside from dressing up and ordering people around, she could do nothing. The new shoes on her feet had soles sewn by Liu Ruyan after several sleepless nights. Liu Qiuyun knew how to sweet-talk people, but she was deep and calculating, and two-faced. In front of Liu Fugui, she would praise the eldest daughter's abilities. Then she would turn around and dump more work on the eldest daughter. Only Liu Ruyan, in this family, from the inside out, was doing everything alone. Feeding pigs, chopping firewood, cooking for the whole family, washing everyone's clothes. She was like an ox that never stops working, silently carrying it all. Her hands were the best proof. In a poor mountain hollow in 1995, a beautiful but lazy woman was trouble. A woman with a scheming mind was a hidden danger. Only a hard-working, grounded, kind woman could hold up a household. Liu Fugui letting me choose was not testing my judgment. He was testing whether I wanted a pretty face or someone to truly live life with. I made the right bet, Dad, I said calmly. I choose Ruyan. Liu Fugui nodded. A faint, hard-to-read smile appeared on his face. Fine, then let's do the marriage ceremony. Wait, Liu Liwan screamed. I won't accept this. She rushed up to Liu Fugui, pointing at me and Liu Ruyan. She said, Dad, he's humiliating me. He's humiliating our Liu family. He's just a live-in son-in-law. What right does he have to pick and choose? You leave the good one alone and insist on picking some ugly nobody wants. Smack! A crisp slap rang out. Liu Fugui stood up. His face turned iron blue. You ungrateful bastard, Fang Yuan. She's your eldest sister now. Is that any way to talk? Liu Liwan covered her face. She was completely stunned. She had not expected that her father, who always doted on her, would hit her for an outsider. Liu Qiuyun hurried over to help her up. She whispered comfort to her. The crowd started buzzing again, but this time nobody dared speak loudly. I led Liu Ruyan to the center of the main room. She was still trembling. Her palms were slick with cold sweat. I looked back at her and gave her a steadying look. Don't be afraid. I'm here. The marriage ceremony was simple. No firecrackers. No banquet. Facing heaven and earth. We bowed 3 times to Liu Fugui, and that counted as the ceremony. I was taken straight to Liu Ruyan's room. Actually, it could not really be called her room. It was a storage shed at the far west side of the courtyard, converted into a low, damp room. There was only a small window inside, besides an old wooden bed and an unpainted cabinet. Nothing else. That was how the Liu family's eldest daughter was treated. As soon as I went in, Liu Ruyan pulled her hand free. She backed into the corner and kept her distance from me. She asked why I chose her. At last she spoke. Her voice was so soft it sounded like a mosquito buzz. She did not dare look at me. I shut the door, cutting off the faint noise of arguing outside. The room was dim. I looked at her pale, tense face. Because in this family, you are the only one working. I said it plainly. I've been here 3 days, and I kept going on. On the first day, before dawn, you got up to make soy milk. You gave all the money from selling things on the street to your younger sister, so she could buy floral cloth. On the second day, you stayed up until midnight sewing a cotton jacket for your father. By then your eyes were already red. This morning, the red embroidery on Liu Liwan's new shoes was stitched on by your own hands. For that alone, you ended up with 3 punctures in your fingers from the needle. With every sentence I said, Liu Ruyan's body trembled. She stared at me in disbelief. She had done all this so naturally, so matter-of-factly, that nobody had ever noticed. Even less had anyone said it out loud. Getting by is not about a pretty face, and it's not about sweet talk. I stepped closer to her. It's about whose shoulders can carry the load, and whose hands can do the work. Liu Ruyan, your hands are worth more than Liu Liwan's face. Her eyes went red at once. Tears fell like broken beads, big drops streaming down. Not from grievance, not from sadness, but from the rush of being seen and recognized. She used the back of those rough hands to wipe at her tears in a panic. She wanted to say something, but she choked and could not get the words out. She could only keep nodding. I said nothing else, giving her time to steady herself. I knew that from this day on, this woman would give me her heart completely. That was enough. My plan needed someone absolutely reliable, and Liu Ruyan was the best choice. My stomach chose that moment to growl. Since morning, I had eaten and drunk nothing. You're hungry, aren't you? I'll go get you something to eat. Liu Ruyan seemed to react only then. She quickly wiped away her tears. Then she opened the door and ran out. I sat on the edge of the bed, sizing up this cramped new room. The bedboard was hard. The quilt was thin. It gave off a faint musty smell. It was easy to imagine how hard her life had been. It does not matter. It will not be like this anymore. After a long wait, Liu Ruyan came back carrying a bowl with a chipped edge. She kept her head down, looking a little dejected. There was no rice left in the pot. In the bowl were only 2 cold roasted sweet potatoes. They were dry and hard. I gave a cold laugh inwardly. Liu Liwan had indeed started her tricks. During the marriage ceremony, I saw Liu Qiuyun pull Liu Liwan aside. She whispered something in her ear. Nothing more than those petty little tricks that do not belong on a proper stage. They wanted to put me, and Liu Ruyan, in our place. Too childish. It is fine. This is enough. I took it, split it in half, and handed 1 piece to Liu Ruyan so we could eat together. She kept waving her hands. No, you eat. I'm not hungry. I want you to eat. My tone was not harsh, but it carried no room for refusal. She hesitated for a moment. She still took it. I picked up the other half and took a bite. It was cold, dry, and rough on the throat, but I swallowed it without changing expression. Ruyan watched me eat it, and only then did she nibble at hers in small bites. She treated her half with extra care. From now on, I'll be in charge of the family money, I said calmly. She froze again. She even forgot the sweet potato in her hand. I looked her in the eye. You don't understand now, but you will later. A woman doesn't earn money, but I am different. I have the direction of the next several decades of development in my head. It is easy to make money in a place like this. Right now, though, I need to settle the problems at home first and take back what belongs to us. I said this was only the first step. Ruyan nodded, only half understanding. Her eyes were no longer timid and blank. A hint of light had entered them. After finishing the sweet potatoes, the sky was already completely dark. Mountain nights were freezing cold. That thin quilt could not block the cold at all. Ruyan took from the cabinet another, even older quilt. It was still patched. She silently spread it on the floor. You sleep in the bed. I'll sleep here on the floor, she said softly. That's the Liu family's rule. A daughter-in-law has barely higher status than a hired hand. She just looked at me. I said, come up here and sleep. I patted the bed board beside me. The floor is cold. Ruyan's face turned bright red at once. It was like that piece of red floral cloth. She stood rooted in place, not knowing what to do with her hands or feet. We are husband and wife, I reminded her. Only then did she slowly take off her shoes and clothes. She lay down on the innermost side of the bed, pressed tightly against the cold wall. Her body was rigid as a stone. I lay on the outside. There was only half a foot between us. Neither of us said a word that night, but I knew that from the moment she laid down on this bed, something in this family had already changed. The next day, just as dawn was breaking, Ruyan automatically tried to get up. I held her back. Sleep a little longer. She froze for a second and lay back down, but clearly, she could not sleep anymore. Her eyes stayed open, motionless. From now on, we will not make breakfast at home. I lay flat on my back, staring up at the dark ceiling. Then who will do it? Whoever eats will cook. Ruyan looked even more confused. In the Liu family, cooking and washing clothes had always been her job alone. But there was no room for a but. I cut her off. Ruyan, remember this. You are Fang Yuan's wife now, not the Liu family's hired hand. Only I can arrange your work. She fell silent. I could feel it. Her old way of thinking was being shaken hard. We lay there in bed, neither of us moving. We waited until Yuan's shrill voice rang out from outside. Ruyan, where the hell are you? Get up and make breakfast already. She shouted again and again. When no one answered, Yuan's footsteps thundered over. They came straight toward us. Bang! The door was shoved open roughly. Yuan stood in the doorway with her hands on her hips, seeing us on the bed. Her temper flared even more. Well, you've got some nerve now. You dare hide in here and slack off. She pointed at Ruyan's nose and cursed at her. Get up this instant. Are you trying to starve us to death? Ruyan flinched. I instinctively wanted to get up and stop her. Then I sat up. I looked coldly at Yuan. Why should my wife make breakfast for you? Yuan was stunned by my question. She won't do it. She won't cook. Then what are we supposed to eat? Her tone was utterly matter-of-fact, as if it were only natural. Don't you have hands of your own? I dressed at an unhurried pace. Starting today, I am taking over Ryan's work, but we'll only cook for the two of us, and wash only our own clothes. As for the rest of you, figure it out yourselves. Yuan was so angry she could not speak. Fang Yuan, don't forget, you are a live-in son-in-law. You belong to the Liu family. You think you can turn the whole place upside down? I never said I wanted to. I put on my shoes and stood up. I towered over her by a full head. I looked straight into her eyes. I just want to get back the justice we deserve. What justice? A hideous little freak. A live-in son-in-law. You think you are even qualified to talk about justice? She blurted out whatever came to her mouth. At that moment, Liu Qiuyun also came over. She pulled Yuan back. With a pleasant smile, she said to me, Brother-in-law, Yuan is still young and does not know better. Do not take it personally, but the work in this house still has to be done. The eldest sister is used to doing it. Let her rest. She would not be used to sitting idle anyway. Wouldn't you say so? That sounded like peacekeeping, but it was really pouring oil on the fire. It put me and Ruyan in opposition to the whole family. Sure enough, Yuan got even more worked up. We're only letting her do the work because we think highly of her. Otherwise, what else could she even do? I could not be bothered arguing with them. There is nothing more pointless than women bickering. If you want to solve a problem, go to the person who can make the call. Where is Dad? I asked. Dad went out to the fields. Liu Qiuyun replied. Then I'll wait until he gets back and talk to him. I took Liu Ruyan by the hand and left. We are going to wash up. I ignored the two women at the doorway completely and walked out with Liu Ruyan. Behind us came Liu Liwan's furious stomping. We did not get breakfast. Or rather, nobody in the Liu family had breakfast that morning. Liu Liwan and Liu Qiuyun could not cook. Or rather, they simply would not go into the kitchen. The two of them sat in the main room, hurling veiled insults. They slammed things around and made a scene. Liu Ruyan was restless several times over. She wanted to go make the meal, but I stopped her with a look each time. We would see who could outlast whom. We held out until noon. Liu Fugui came back from the fields. The moment he came in, he saw his two daughters looking like mourners. Dad, you are finally back. Liu Liwan beat us to the accusation. The eldest sister and brother-in-law are trying to rebel. They will not cook. They want to starve us to death. Liu Qiuyun also added fuel to the fire. Yes, Dad. We only said a couple of words to them, and brother-in-law even snapped at us. He said that from now on he would only take care of their own affairs, and that we would not be involved at all. Liu Fugui frowned and said nothing. He walked to the water jar, scooped up a ladle of water, and gulped down half of it. Then he looked at me, who had stayed silent all along. Fang Yuan, you speak. I knew the real test had come. I stood up. Neither humble nor overbearing, I said. Dad, I do not mean anything else. Ruyan and I are one family now. We are our own little household. We want to decide our own lives ourselves. The work in the house can't keep falling on Ruyan alone. She used to be an unmarried daughter, and now she is a daughter-in-law. That is not the same. I want to ask you for a set of rules. I looked at him. Split the household. The whole room was stunned. Liu Liwan and Liu Qiuyun both looked at me like I was a madman. A damned live-in son-in-law for daring to bring up splitting the household on the second day. Liu Fugui also narrowed his eyes. The tobacco pipe clacked hard against the table. How exactly do you want to divide it? He asked whether the household needed to split off from the main courtyard. I had already prepared for this. It was only the household duties and daily expenses that needed to be divided and settled separately. The family owns a total of 15 mu of land. By rights, each of our 3 branches should get 5 mu. There are 6 pigs in the family. Each branch should have 2. From now on, each branch farms its own land, keeps the grain it harvests, raises its own pigs, and keeps the money from what it sells. The shared courtyard is cleaned by everyone in rotation. Our 3 branches will take turns supporting you in old age, 1 month at a time. 1 month each. I laid out my plan clearly and methodically. This was not splitting the household at all. This was internal family responsibility contracting. I was taking the basic management model of a modern business and applying it to a rural family in 1995. When I finished, the room fell silent. Liu Qiuyun and Liu Liwan were both dumbfounded. They had never even thought about any of this. Liu Fugui was silent too. He took slow drag after slow drag from his pipe. Smoke hid his face completely. After a long while, he finally put the pipe down. We'll do it exactly as he said. Liu Fugui's words were like a stone thrown into a calm lake. Liu Liwan and Liu Qiuyun were completely stunned. How can you agree to him? Liu Liwan was the first to jump up, her face full of disbelief. He is an outsider, a live-in son-in-law. What right does he have to divide up the Liu family's property? Exactly, Dad. Liu Qiuyun panicked too, no longer able to keep up that gentle face. That is against the rules. For generations, when has there ever been a case of a live-in son-in-law splitting the household on the second day? If word gets out, where does that leave the Liu family's reputation? Liu Fugui shot them a sharp look. When the two of you were lazy and refused to work, why didn't you mention rules then, when you pushed all the work onto the eldest sister? Now that Fang Yuan wants fairness, you suddenly know how to save face. The old man rarely spoke, but when he did, every word cut deep. Liu Liwan and Liu Qiuyun's faces kept flushing red, then pale. I do not care. I just do not agree. Liu Liwan started throwing a fit and sat down on the ground. If you dare split the household, I won't go on living. Liu Fugui could not even be bothered to look at her. He turned his gaze toward me. The land is in the back hills. The pigs are in the backyard. You sort it out yourselves. Once it is settled, we will put it in writing today. This is complete trust and a full handover of authority. I nodded. Thank you, Dad. I took Ruyan, who had been standing there dazed all this time, by the hand. Let's go sort out our property. Ruyan was still in a state of shock, with me pulling her along. Her steps were a little unsteady. We had barely reached the doorway when Yuan suddenly spoke up. Dad, since we are going to divide things, we need to make it clear. The back hill land has good patches and bad patches, and the pigs are big and small too. There has to be some kind of first come, first served, right? His eyes darted as he thought of something. A scheme came to him. We are his biological daughters. He is the live-in son-in-law. By rights, we should choose first. Yuan caught on to. She sprang up from the ground at once. We should choose first. We pick the good ones and leave the rest to them. A vicious look of satisfaction spread across her face. They thought this would leave the worst for Ruyan and me. Fugue frowned. He seemed about to say something, but I spoke first. Fine, I said flatly. You choose first. Yuan and Yuan were both stunned. They had not expected me to agree so readily. Even Ruyan tugged hard at my sleeve. Her eyes were full of anxiety. I patted her hand. I signaled for her to relax. A gentleman's word. Yuan was afraid I would go back on my word. She quickly blurted, a promise is a promise. Let's go, Yuan. Let's pick the land. The two women ran out excitedly. Fugue gave me a deep look. His expression was complicated. Aren't you afraid they'll take all the good land and the good pigs? I smiled. Dad, I have a sharp eye. Fugue blinked, then laughed too. It was a truly relieved laugh. Good. Kid. Ruyan and I followed behind. We went to the back hills at an unhurried pace. The Liu family's 15 mu of land was divided into 3 plots. One was on the sunny side of the hill, with fertile soil. It was the best irrigated land. Another sat midway up the slope, a dry patch with average soil. There was another in the mountain hollow. It was low-lying, with a small pond beside it. Looking at the damp ground, the villagers all said that plot could not grow good crops. Yuan and Yuan did not even need to discuss it. They headed straight for the Sunnyside plot. Then they started arguing over which part of the 15 mu was closer to the water source. The two of them started fighting over it themselves. In the end, Yuan relied on her scheming and snatched the best one. Yuan stood by, fuming. A slightly worse one. Together, they took about 10 mu. That left the 5 mu dry plot midway up the slope, and the 5 mu waterlogged field in the hollow. Brother-in-law, look, Yuan said, walking over with false concern. These are the only 2 plots left. You to pick whichever you want. She could not hide the smugness in her eyes. Yuan was sneering beside her too. Picking through what was left for us was enough to make life miserable for the two of you. Ruyan was so angry her face went pale. Her lips were trembling. I went straight toward the unwanted plot in the mountain hollow. We want this one. I pointed at the wet patch of land. Ruyan panicked. Fang Yuan, this plot is no good. Once the rain comes down hard, it will flood completely. Nothing will grow here. That is right, brother-in-law. Think it through. Yuan was thrilled inside, but still pretended to advise us. This is your grain plot. Choose wrong, and you will go hungry. This one, I said firmly without changing my mind. Yuan looked at me like I was an idiot. Fine, this was your own choice. Do not come crying and begging my brother later. After choosing the land, we went to look at the pigs. There were 6 pigs in the pen. 4 big ones were fat and sturdy. 2 small ones were skin and bones. Yuan and Yuan each snatched one of the 2 biggest pigs. They left us the 2 little pigs that looked like they would not survive. They left them to us. One of them was even lying limply on the ground. It looked like it was almost done for. Ruyan's eyes turned red. They have gone too far. Her voice was thick with tears. This was pushing them into a dead end. I crouched down and examined the sow that was almost done for. I pried open its mouth and looked at its teeth. Then I felt its belly. A trace of a smile tugged at my lips, unnoticed by anyone. Let's go, Ruyan. I stood up. Our good days are coming. The papers were drawn up quickly, in black and white, written by Fugue himself. We were officially given the 5 mu low-lying field in the mountain hollow, and the 2 skinny pigs. Yuan and Yuan acted like they had won a great victory. They walked with a spring in their step. They thought the good days for Ruyan and me were over. Hunger was only a matter of time. The villagers were all watching the joke unfold. They all said Fang Yuan, was not only blind, but stupid too. With a good life in front of me, I still had to go and ruin it myself. I ignored it all. That afternoon, I took Liu Ryan to our new place. That plot really looked miserable. Weeds were everywhere. The soil was wet and soft. Every step sank into a hole. Fang Yuan, what are we supposed to do now? Liu Ryan looked worried. Without wasting time, I took off my coat and picked up the hoe. I asked what was beside this plot. There was a pond. What can the water in the pond do? Can it water the field? Liu Ryan asked uncertainly. That's one use, I said, pointing at the pond. And the other is, there are fish, shrimp, and loaches in it. We can even raise ducks. Liu Ryan's eyes slowly lit up. She had never thought of it that way. As for this land, I chopped open a clod with the hoe. The soil was a little wet, but look how dark and rich it is. We won't plant wheat. We won't plant corn. We'll plant rice. Rice? Liu Ryan was shocked. No one in our mountain valley has ever planted rice. They all say it won't survive. I can. My tone was certain. 1995. Hybrid rice technology was already fairly mature, but the news had not yet spread to this little mountain valley yet. More important, in my previous life, I worked as a project manager and had worked on an agricultural poverty alleviation project. I knew which kind of land suited which crop. This plot was practically tailor-made for rice. But we don't have rice seed. I'll figure something out. I told Liu Ryan to first pull the weeds and clear the land. She was half believing, half doubting. But seeing how confident I was, she still picked up the tools and quietly got to work. Her movements were quick and practiced. You could tell she was used to farm work. She was far better than a half-baked novice like me. I went to the pigsty in the backyard. Liu Yuan and Yuan had driven the two skinny pigs into a shabby little pen. I walked over. That half-dead sow was still lying on the ground. I ignored it. First I got some pig fodder, mixed it with soup, and fed it to the other little pig. Then I quietly took a basin from home and drew some well water. I pulled a small paper packet from my pocket. Inside were several medicinal herbs I had gathered in the mountains a few days earlier. They were for clearing heat and detoxifying, and for strengthening the stomach and aiding digestion. That was the backup plan I had prepared long ago. I crushed the herbs and mixed them into the water. I pried open the sow's mouth and dribbled the mixture down its throat. After that was done, I finally went back to the field. Liu Ryan had already cleared a small patch of land. She was drenched in sweat. I handed her some water. Take a break. She looked at me. There was a spark in her eyes. Fang Yuan, I trust you. I smiled. That was enough. Over the next few days, the two of us were like wind-up toys. We got up before dawn and went out to work the field. At noon, I came back and cooked. My cooking was nothing special, but at least it was cooked through, and it filled you up. It was the first time Liu Ryan had eaten a meal I cooked myself. She ate very slowly. Her eyes were red. In the afternoon, I wandered into the mountains. I looked for a suitable substitute for rice seed, or went into town to ask around. Liu Ryan stayed home weaving bamboo goods. That was a skill she had learned as a child. It could bring in a little cash. Our life was still poor, but it felt solid and real. Every ounce of effort went into building our own future. Every drop of sweat watered our own hope. As for Liu Yuan and Yuan, their side was a different story. No one was tending their field at all. Neither of them wanted to go out and work the land. As for cooking at home, no one was doing that anymore. Liu Fugui didn't care either. As long as he ate his fill, they could only eat dry rations every day, or shamelessly mooch food from the neighbors. In just a few days, the two of them were dusty and disheveled, full of resentment. The conflict broke out quickly over who should cook and who should feed the pigs. The two of them went from arguing to getting physical. They were clawing and hitting each other in the yard and became the joke of the whole village. On the seventh day, good news and bad news came at the same time. The good news was the sow I had fed the herbal mixture to not only pulled through, but got stronger and stronger too. Most important of all, I confirmed she was pregnant. And judging by the size of her belly, she was carrying quite a few. That was a fortune in the making. The bad news was, I had gone to town to ask about rice seed. When I passed the village entrance, a few tall young punks blocked my way. The one in front was the village chief's son, Wang Dalong. He had always had his eye on Liu Yuan. You are that damned Fang Yuan? Wang Dalong tilted his head, looking at me with open contempt. I heard you're pretty tough, kid. You even made our Liu Yuan cry. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson on her behalf. 3 or 4 thugs trailed behind Wang Dalong. They all looked like small-time punks. They were cracking their knuckles and itching to make a move. The way they looked at me was like I was a lamb to the slaughter. This was Liu Yuan's revenge. I knew exactly what was going on. She couldn't get her way at home, so she started using outsiders to do her dirty work. And she picked the village chief's son. That way she could teach me a lesson, and also curry favor with the village chief's family. 2 birds with 1 stone. There was no way Liu Qiuyun had not helped plan this. I stood my ground. My tone stayed calm. There was not the slightest trace of fear. I had seen every kind of scene in my previous life. I had even stared down ruthless demolition crews. A few village punks were nothing to me. My cold reply seemed to anger Wang Dalong. You really know how to put on an act, kid. He stepped forward. He was almost nose to nose with me. A stench of sweat and cigarette smoke hit me in the face. Listen, Liu Yuan is the woman I had my eye on, and you went and turned her down, only to choose that ugly freak. Is that just slapping me in the face? If you do not get down on your knees and bow to me today, then crawl back and apologize to Liu Yuan. I will break your legs. The few men behind him burst into laughter. A crowd of curious villagers had gathered around us. They pointed at me and whispered, "It is that idiot Livin's son-in-law of his. He turned down a fairy and chose a lump of dirt instead. Well, that settles it. Now he has offended Wang Dalong. He is in for a rough time." Not a single person stepped forward to defend me. In this sealed-off mountain village, fist and connections were the only truth that mattered. When Liu Ruyan heard the news, she ran out from home too. When she saw the scene, her face went white with fear. What are you doing?" She rushed over and spread her arms to shield me behind her. Her body trembled like a leaf in the autumn wind, but her eyes were unnervingly firm. This was the first time she had stood up in front of so many people. Because of me, warmth spread through my chest. I pulled her back behind me. "Do not be afraid. It is fine." Fang Yuan, her voice was trembling with tears. "If Wang Dalong has a problem, let him come for me." I looked at Wang Dalong. What kind of skill is bullying a woman? Oh, Wang Dalong laughed. It was a wild, arrogant laugh. Trying to play the hero and save the beauty? Too bad. The one you saved is an ugly freak. Brothers, get him. Pin this kid down first. Several of them swarmed forward at once. I did not try to fight them head-on. I knew I would lose if it came to blows. My mind raced. Just as they were about to grab me, I suddenly shouted, "Village Chief Wang is here." The punks all instinctively turned to look. Even Wang Dalong froze for a second. That was the opening I needed. I grabbed Liu Ruyan and turned to run. Not back home, but toward the village committee. Liu Fugui was not at home. Right now, the only one who could keep Wang Dalong in check was his father. Damn it, Village Chief Wang. Before Wang Dalong could react, he was so furious he was nearly exploding. After him, a group of them chased us relentlessly from behind. Liu Ruyan was not in good shape physically. After only a few steps, she was gasping for breath, so I simply hoisted her onto my back. She cried out in shock. Then she clung tightly to my neck. She was so light, barely anything but skin and bones. With her on my back, I moved even faster. The will to survive can bring out a person's greatest potential. Wang Dalong and the others had not expected it, that I could still run this fast while carrying someone. For the moment, they could not catch up. The village committee was not far away. I ran all the way to the gate of the village committee courtyard. Just then, I saw Village Chief Wang coming out with his hands behind his back. "Village Chief Wang," I shouted, and rushed straight toward him. When Village Chief Wang saw me, and then saw the group chasing his son behind me, his brow immediately furrowed. "What is going on?" His voice was loud, carrying the weight of authority. Wang Dalong and the others stopped at once, not daring to come any closer. The arrogant Wang Dalong looked a little guilty. I set Liu Ruyan down. I was breathing hard, but my mind was perfectly clear. I did not try to beat them to the punch with false accusations. Instead, I flattered Village Chief Wang first. "Village Chief Wang, your timing could not be better. We just split the household, and we're about to head into town to buy some seed. We wanted to do our part and respond to the country's call. Work hard, build production, and work toward a better off life." I did not expect Brother Dalong and the others to be so enthusiastic. They insisted on sparring with us a bit and exchanging some farming tips. "Just look at how they are chasing us. We were just about worn out." My words were soft on the surface, but sharp underneath. I made it clear that we were the victims, and I framed the whole thing as a friendly exchange. That gave Village Chief Wang a way to save face. More importantly, I brought up responding to the country's call, and shifted the personal conflict onto collective honor. Village Chief Wang was a sly old fox. How could he not hear what I was really saying? His expression turned even uglier. He shot Wang Dalong a vicious glare. All you do all day is fool around and avoid honest work. You only know how to stir up trouble. Now get back home." Wang Dalong had been publicly scolded by his own father. He could not save face, but he did not dare talk back. He could only glare at me in hatred. Then he led his men away in disgrace. I diffused the crisis with just a few words. The villagers around us stared in disbelief. They had not expected that this soft-looking live-in son-in-law could not only run fast, but also talk circles around people. Village Chief Wang looked at me, and there was a hint of scrutiny in his eyes. "You are Fang Yuan, the new live-in son-in-law of Liu Fugui's family?" He nodded. You are a smart one. Work hard," he said, and then he walked off with his hands behind his back. I let out a breath of relief. I had made it through this one today. I had not only escaped taking a beating, I had even left a good impression on the village chief. But I also knew this was only the beginning. Wang Dalong and Liu Liuan would never let this go. The feud was set. When I looked back, Liu Ruyan was gazing at me dreamily. In her eyes, besides lingering fear, there was something shining there that I had never seen before. It was admiration. We went home. I took her hand. Her palm was slick with sweat, but this time, she held on very tightly. When we got home and closed the door, Liu Ruyan's legs were still weak. She leaned against the door and gasped for breath. I poured her a bowl of water. She took it, but her hands were still shaking. "I thought they were really going to beat you. They would not dare." I looked at her pale face, especially not right at the village committee gate. "They would not dare." She took a sip of water. Her emotions calmed a little. She lifted her head, and her eyes were shining with startling brightness. "Fang Yuan, you are amazing." She was praising me from the heart. Before, whenever she saw Wang Dalong and the others, she would keep far away from them. No one in the village dared mess with them, and you actually dared to go against them. You even made them take a loss. That is not just fighting them head-on. That is called strategy. I corrected her. Meeting force with force is the worst move. Turning their own strength against them is the best move. Use their strength against them. She did not understand that Wang Dalong's father was the village chief. What was he most afraid of? I asked if he was afraid of losing his position. Half right. I smiled at her. He was afraid his son would cause trouble for him, and it would affect his standing. So I was not really fighting Wang Dalong. I was reasoning with village chief Wang. I put myself in the role of someone responding to the national call. I put myself in the role of a model worker, answering the call and pushing production. Then I put Wang Dalong in the role of someone sabotaging production, a troublemaker acting without reason, to save his face and his position. Village Chief Wang had to suppress Wang Dalong. Liu Ruyan listened, stunned. She had never thought about all these twists and turns before. He only knows whose fists are stronger. The stronger side is always in the right. Fang Yuan, you know so much. She looked at me. Her eyes were full of little stars. I will teach you slowly from now on. I patted her head. Now we have more important things to do. What is it? That field. And those 2 pigs. I explained my plan about growing rice and raising pigs to her in more detail, including the possibility that the sow might be pregnant. She was stunned, speechless for a long time. Could rice really grow in that field? Was the pig really pregnant? More or less certain. I was very confident. My past life experience was my confidence. Liu Ruyan's breathing quickened. If all of this was true, then their family would finally turn things around. Fine, Fang Yuan. Whatever you say to do, I'll do it. I will do it. A spark of hope lit in her eyes. That was hope for the future. Over the next few days, we worked even harder. We weeded the field until it was spotless. According to my plan, we started digging the ditches. It was a huge job. Every day we were exhausted like dogs, but our hearts were burning hot. On the other side, Liu Liuan and Liu Qiuyun were not having such easy days. Their plan with Wang Dalong had failed, and it left them full of pent-up anger. The 2 of them even argued over who should feed the pigs. In a fit of anger, Liu Liuan ignored those 2 fat pigs for several days. As a result, one of the pigs ate something bad and started having diarrhea. Now they panicked. They called the village veterinarian to take a look. The vet said it was gastroenteritis. It needed shots and medicine. They spent several yuan before they finally saved the pig. But that pig had clearly lost a lot of weight. Their field was even more overgrown and neglected. Neither of them wanted to go out into the fields. With spring plowing season almost here, their field was still overrun with weeds. Liu Fugui saw it all, but said nothing. He just smoked even more heavily. That day I went into town to buy necessities. I deliberately took a different road. But trouble still found me. After I bought cigarettes and matches at the supply and marketing cooperative, I was planning to check the seed station. Just as I came out of the door, Wang Dalong blocked me in an alley with a group of men. This time he had learned to be smart. He did not make a move on the main road. Run, Fang Yuan. Wang Dalong sneered. Let's see where you can run today. What? Run to your daddy. His men blocked both ends of the alley. I had nowhere to retreat. Wang Dalong, what exactly do you want? I frowned. Nothing much. He walked up to me and patted my face. The gesture was openly humiliating. I just do not like you. Today, if you do not crawl between my legs, you can forget about getting out of this alley. He pointed at his own legs. The punks behind him burst into wild laughter. My eyes turned cold. I knew this would not end peacefully. I slowly put the things in my hands on the ground. Then I rolled my wrist. Looks like some things cannot be reasoned through. Then I will have to use my fist. You. Wang Dalong sounded as if he had heard the biggest joke in the world. A scrawny live-in son-in-law skinny as a monkey. And you still want to fight us? Brothers, teach him some manners. The thug closest to me grinned and swung a fist at me. I did not dodge. Just as the fist was about to reach my face, I suddenly twisted to the side and sent my right leg snapping out like lightning. It hit the outside of his knee squarely. There was a sharp crack. The thug let out a miserable scream. He grabbed his leg and collapsed. Everyone froze, including Wang Dalong. They had not expected me to fight back, and they had not expected me to hit so hard. I did not stop. When dealing with people like this, a show of force matters most. The harder you hit them, the more they will fear you. I shot toward another man in a single step. Before he could react, my fist had already smashed into his nose. Blood and tears burst out at once. He was in pain and terrified. He clutched his face and howled. In the blink of an eye, I had taken down 2 of them. The other 2 thugs were so scared they stumbled backward. They did not dare come forward again. Wang Dalong was stunned too. He had thought I was a soft target he could bully at will. He had not expected me to be a hard case covered in thorns. How dare you hit my men? He shouted, trying to sound fierce while trembling inside. I not only dare hit your men, I said, stepping toward him one step at a time. I dare hit you too. My gaze was like a knife, fixed on him. Wang Dalong was rattled by my momentum. He instinctively backed away, but his foot caught on a fallen companion. He landed flat on the ground. It was a humiliating mess. I walked up to him and looked down at him from above. You still want me to crawl between your legs? I asked. Wang Dalong's face turned liver red. Humiliation and rage, and a trace of fear. He gritted his teeth and struggled to his feet. Fang Yuan, just wait. I will not let this go. He threw down a vicious threat. Then he took his handful of beaten down lackeys and fled the alley in a panic. I knew this was only a temporary victory. Wang Dalong had taken such a huge loss, so his revenge would definitely be even fiercer. I had to speed up my plan. I picked up the things from the ground and went to the seed station. Just as I had expected, there were no rice seeds at the seed station at all. Nobody around the hills grew that stuff. They never stocked it either. I was not disappointed. That had already been part of my plan. My target was not the seed station, but the seeds themselves. I was after the station's old technician, Li Bo. Li Bo was almost retired. He was a famous old hand in all the surrounding villages. He knew the most about farm work and agricultural techniques. When I found him, he was tending his few potted flowers in the courtyard. I called out respectfully. He looked up at me. What is it? Uncle Li, I want to ask you something. Behind our village there is a stretch of wild reeds on the back hill. Inside it grows something that looks a lot like wheat, but it is not wheat. What is it? I kept it deliberately vague. That caught Li Bo's interest. What does it look like? Describe it carefully. I described in detail the shape of a wild plant I had seen in the mountains a few days earlier. I had gone over it carefully. I had searched for it intentionally, based on the memories of my past life. It was a very old, unimproved wild rice variety. Its yield was low, but its adaptability was extremely strong. After hearing that, Li Bo adjusted his glasses and fell into deep thought for a long time. What you are talking about, if I am not mistaken, should be wild rice. Haven't seen this stuff in years. I heard the yield is very low. It's not tasty, so nobody grows it anymore. Uncle Li, I want to get some of these seeds. Do you know where I can still find some? What do you want this for? Li Bo was puzzled. I was just curious. I want to grow some myself and see what happens. I scratched my head and put on an honest, harmless look. That stuff is hard to find now. But then he changed the subject. When I was young, A friend of mine at the Provincial Agricultural Institute gave me some improved rice seed. They said the yield was high and that it was disease resistant. I tried growing it once. It grew pretty well. It's just that this place is too short on water. It was too much trouble to care for. So I never planted it again. I still have a little old seed left. I do not know if it can still sprout. I was overjoyed. This was exactly what I wanted. Uncle Li, can you sell me some? I will pay. Li Bo waved it off. No need for money. If you are truly serious, take it and try. It's just going to mold if it sits here anyway. He found a cloth bag from inside the house and handed it to me. Inside was half a bag of grain seed. I treated it like a priceless treasure. I thanked Li Bo over and over before saying goodbye. With these seeds, my plan was halfway to success. On the way back, I was in a great mood. I even started planning for when the rice came in. I even started thinking about how to sell it for a good price. But when I reached the entrance to our home, my heart dropped straight to the bottom. Our pigsty had been smashed up. The 2 piglets were gone. Ruyan was standing at the pigsty door, crying as if her heart were being torn apart. The pigs were stolen. When Ruyan saw me, she rushed over crying. I could not stop them. It was Wang Dalong. He brought people with him. There were still several clear scratch marks on his arm. I held her steady. A surge of rage shot from my chest straight to my head. Wang Dalong did not dare touch me, so he took it out on a woman and to pigs instead. Where did they take the pigs? My voice was cold as ice. They said one of their pigs had wandered into the wrong pen, so they were taking it back. A lot of people in the village saw it. No one dared stop them. Dad was not home either. Ruyan was crying so hard she could barely speak. This was outright robbery, and he did it right in front of the whole village. In an instant, I understood Wang Dalong's vile plan. He wanted to use this method to grind us completely underfoot and make us the laughingstock of the whole village. He wanted to cut off our last way out. That pregnant sow was our only hope of turning things around. That hope had been stolen. Stop crying, I said as I wiped away her tears. I will get the pigs back, but they have more people. We cannot beat them. Ruyan's eyes were full of despair. We cannot beat them head on. I helped her to her feet. But we have brains. I told her to wait at home and not go anywhere. Then I turned and left the yard. I did not go straight to Wang Dalong. I knew that if I went now, I would be walking into a trap. I went to Liu Fugui's tobacco field. My father-in-law was squatting in the field, pinching buds off the tobacco plants. He was not surprised to see me. The pigs were stolen. He asked what I planned to do. Father-in-law, I want to borrow something. What? Your old single-shot hunting rifle. Liu Fugui's hand froze. He lifted his head. His cloudy eyes locked on me. What are you going to do? Wanting to kill someone is against the law. I shook my head. I only want to take back what is mine. Wang Dalong is the village chief's son. If you touch him, you will not get away with it. I know, but I still dare. Father-in-law, if you're too kind, people will bully you. If you're too soft, people will walk all over you. I looked at him. If he dares steal my pigs today, tomorrow he will dare tear down my house. He will bully my wife. Some things become an abyss if you give in a step. I cannot back down. Liu Fugui fell silent. He stubbed out the cigarette butt in his hand. Then he ground it hard into the dirt. It's in the corner of the west room. Go get it yourself. There are only 3 rounds. Thanks. I turned and left at once. Boy, he suddenly called me back. Don't let this get out of hand. I know what I am doing. I went back home. From the corner of the west room, I took out the old single-shot hunting rifle. The gun itself was very old, but it had been well maintained. It was cold and heavy. I stuffed the 3 rust-speckled rifle cartridges into my pocket. Then I did not go straight to Wang Dalong. I went to Zhang Die, the butcher's house at the east end of the village. Zhang Die was in the yard sharpening his butcher knife. Fang Yuan, what are you doing here? He was surprised to see me. Zhang Die, I want to discuss something with you. I got straight to the point. My sow is about to give birth. When the piglets are a month old, I'll give you 2 of them. Zhang Die's eyes lit up. Really? Seriously? But there is one condition. What condition? Tonight, bring your knife and go with me to Wang Dalong's house. You do not have to lay a hand on anyone. Just stand behind me. Zhang Die frowned. He was no fool. He knew this was not simple. Fang Yuan, I do not want trouble. Wang Dalong is not someone to cross. I know. I pulled 10 yuan out of my pocket. This is everything I have. If this works out, this is yours. Plus 2 piglets. Zhang Die looked at the 10 yuan. Then he looked at me again. His eyes flickered. 10 Yuan plus to Piglets was no small sum. It would cover half a month's work. What are you trying to do? Take back my pigs. It's that simple. Zhang Die gritted his teeth. Fine. I'll go with you. After I had Zhang Die on board, I went to several other homes in the village. They were all honest people Wang Dalong had bullied before. I did not make them any promises. I only said one thing to them. Tonight I am going to Wang Dalong's house to demand justice. Do you want him bullying you for the rest of your lives? Or do you want to stand up straight and be men for once? Choose for yourselves. With that, I left. I did not know whether they would come. This was a bet on human nature. Night quickly deepened. I slung the hunting rifle behind my back and covered it with a tattered coat. I walked out of the house. Zhang Die, the butcher, was carrying his shiny bony knife and was already waiting at the mouth of the alley. Behind him, 7 or 8 more men were arriving one after another. They had hoes in their hands, carrying shoulder poles, and carrying wooden sticks. They were all the men I'd visited that afternoon. They all came. Every face carried a trace of tension, but even more was the anger they had held back for far too long. I looked at them. There was no extra talk. I only said one word: go. The group marched off toward Wang Dalong's house. Tonight, the sky over this mountain hollow was going to change. Wang Dalong's house was brightly lit. There was a banquet in the yard. It seemed they were celebrating something, celebrating their stolen victory. Our sudden appearance as uninvited guests was like a basin of ice water that snuffed out all the warmth in the yard. The music stopped. The laughter died. Everyone turned to look at us. Wang Dalong was holding a wine cup and bragging to others about the day's spoils. When he saw me, the smile on his face froze. When he saw Butcher Zhang Die behind me, and those 7 or 8 villagers carrying sticks, his face went from red to white. He never dreamed I dare show up at his door and bring so many people with me. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to rebel? Wang Dalong's mother, a fat woman, rushed out of the house. She put her hands on her hips and cursed at us. A bunch of poor bastards, daring to come cause trouble in our house? Believe me, I'll have the village chief arrest all of you. I ignored her. My eyes stayed locked on Wang Dalong. Where are my pigs? I asked in a low voice, but in the silent yard, everyone heard it clearly. What pigs of yours? Those are the pigs that ran off from our house. Wang Dalong was still playing tough, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. Is that so? I smiled. Then please bring the pigs out and let us take a look. Who do you think you are? Wang Dalong shouted, all bluster and no courage, because I slowly lifted the torn coat behind me and revealed the black muzzled hunting rifle. How about this? The yard instantly fell into deathly silence. Everyone sucked in a sharp breath, including the villagers behind me. They had only thought I came to ask for an explanation. They never expected I'd bring a gun. Butcher Zhang Die tightened his grip on the bony knife. Wang Dalong's face instantly lost all color. He had seen villagers use hunting rifles for hunting. He knew that thing could easily blow through a wild boar's skull, and it could just as easily blow through his own skull. His voice was trembling. I only want my things back. I took a step forward. My pigs, 1 sow, 1 boar. The sow has a patch of white fur behind her left ear. Her belly is already showing. Am I right? Sweat ran down Wang Dalong's temple. Those details were known only to the owner. He could not argue. Give me my pigs back, I said word by word. Otherwise, this will not end well today. The guests in the yard had long since been scared into the corners. Wang Dalong's mother was frightened stiff too, collapsed on the ground, unable to say a word. The tension was stretched to the limit. Just then, a stern voice rang out from the gate. Stop right there. Village Chief Wang was back. He looked at the standoff in the yard, looked at the hunting rifle in my hand, his face dark as the sky before a storm. Behind him was Liu Fugui, my old father-in-law. He was carrying a wood-cutting axe. Village Chief Wang's arrival made the already taut rope even tighter. He had not expected the trouble his son caused to blow up to this point. An armed standoff was a major event the village had not seen in decades. If word got out, he might as well quit being village chief. Liu Fugui's arrival was a surprise to me. Not only did he come, he even brought a weapon. He did not look at me. Instead, he stood beside those villagers and made his position clear through his actions. Today he was not Liu Fugui. He was a father-in-law standing up for a bullied son-in-law. Village Chief Wang took a deep breath and forced down his anger. He knew this was not the time to show force. Calming things down was what mattered most. Fang Yuan spoke first. He kept his tone as even as he could. Put the gun down first. Let's talk this through. Village Chief Wang, it's not that I don't want to talk this through. I did not lower the gun. It's your son who wouldn't give me a chance to talk properly. He stole my pigs, beat my wife, and cut off my way to survive. If I give him one more step today, Liu Ruyan and I will have no choice but to go beg for a living. I spoke neither humbly nor arrogantly, but every word bled. The villagers behind me all straightened their backs. They saw themselves in me. They saw the version of themselves that had been bullied, ignored, yet never dared to fight back. Today, I straightened their backs for them. Village Chief Wang looked over at his useless son. Wang Dalong had already cowered behind his father. You unfilial brat. Village Chief Wang then slapped Wang Dalong hard across the face. Hurry up and return the pigs to them. Wang Dalong clutched his face in disbelief. But when he saw the murderous look in his father's eyes, he did not dare make another sound. He shakily pointed toward the pigsty in the backyard. There, go bring the pigs out. Village Chief Wang roared. Soon, a few of Wang Dalong's hangers-on let out my scrawny pigs. When the sow saw me, she actually let out soft, affectionate grunts. Seeing that she was fine, I let out most of the breath in my chest. I have returned your pigs. Village Chief Wang looked at me. Can you put the gun down now? What about compensation for my wife's injuries? I would not give an inch. Today I was going to settle everything at once. I was going to make Wang Dalong and everyone else who wanted to bully us understand that our family was not to be messed with. The corner of Village Chief Wang's eye twitched. Village Chief Wang's eye twitched. He had not expected me to still dare make demands. He glanced at the scratches on Liu Ruyan's arm, then at the villagers behind me. Those villagers united in righteous anger. He knew that if he did not bleed a little today, this would not be over. Dalong, get over there and apologize to Fang Yuan's wife. Wang Dalong dragged his feet, his face full of reluctance. Did you hear me? Village Chief Wang kicked him in the leg again. Wang Dalong staggered and fell to the ground. He looked up in humiliation at me and Liu Ruyan and squeezed out 3 words through his teeth. I'm sorry. Anything else? I asked coldly. Medical bills, lost wages, and compensation for emotional distress. 20 yuan in all. Give it to me now. That was a huge ask. In those days, 20 yuan was a rural family's monthly living expenses. Village Chief Wang was shaking with rage, but when he looked at the black muzzle of my rifle, in the end, he still pulled a crumpled 20 yuan bill from his pocket and slammed it onto the ground. Now, is that enough? He was practically shouting. I slowly slid the gun behind my back and covered it with my clothes. That's enough. I walked over, picked up the money from the ground, and pressed it into Liu Ruyan's hand. Then I led our pigs home. We were going home. I did not look at Village Chief Wang or Wang Dalong, even once. Butcher Zhang Die and the other villagers followed behind me. We looked like a band of victorious generals. We walked out of the Wang family compound. Behind us were the Wang family's ruined banquet tables, and the father and son's faces, embarrassed beyond measure. Liu Fugui came over to my side, patted my shoulder, and said nothing. But I knew that this was the moment I had truly earned his approval. It was not only because I knew how to read the room. It was also because I had backbone and responsibility. I was a real man. When we got back to our low, damp storage shed, Liu Ruyan seemed to come alive again. She looked at the 20 yuan in her hand, then at the 2 pigs safe and sound in the pen, and tears fell from her eyes again. But this time, they were tears of joy. Fang Yuan, we won. Her voice was choked with sobs. She could not even speak properly. Yes, we won. I pulled her into my arms. This was the first time since our marriage that we had been this close. Her body stiffened for a moment, but she did not push me away. Instead, she buried her face against my chest and cried out loud. She poured out all the grievances, fear, and despair of the past few days, and let them all out. I gently patted her back. It's over. No one will ever dare bully us again. After she had cried enough, and her emotions had settled, I helped her up. Her eyes were swollen like peaches, but her gaze was frighteningly bright, filled with unconditional trust and admiration for me. Go boil some hot water and wash your face. I said I would go settle the pigs. That sow is our hope for the future. We cannot neglect her. I laid out dry grass for her and fed her some concentrated feed mixed with herbs. Watching her lie down peacefully, I finally let out a breath. Liu Fugui followed me into the yard. He did not come inside. He just stood in the courtyard, waiting for me to finish. Only then did he hand me a heavy cloth bag. Keep the gun too. There will be plenty of times you'll need it later. I did not refuse. Thank you. What for? He waved a hand. Today you also brought honor to my old Liu family." He paused, then added, "But do not be so impulsive when you do things in the future. Guns are the last card you play. You cannot show it lightly. Today I only went along to keep the situation under control. Otherwise, if someone really got killed, nobody would have been able to clean up the mess." "I understand." I nodded. "I know you are doing this for my own good," he answered. "Live a good life with Ruyan. She is a good girl. She is a good girl. It was my fault as her father. I did not have the ability, and I let her suffer." After he finished, he turned and left. His back looked a little lonely, but also a little relieved. I held that back, my heart feeling heavy. This was not just a weapon. It was also a heavy responsibility. It was my father-in-law placing all his trust in me, his son-in-law. That night, Liu Yuan and Liu Yuan surprisingly did not stir up trouble. The entire Liu family courtyard was eerily quiet. They had been scared out of their wits. At last, they understood. I, Fang Yuan, was not someone they could bully and handle however they pleased. I was a beast cornered, a lone wolf who would bare his fangs without hesitation. Liu Ruyan and I had pork stew with vermicelli for dinner. The pork had been forced on me by butcher Zhang. He said he had felt good following along with what happened today. That meal tasted better than anything we had had in a long time. After dinner, Liu Ruyan took the initiative to clear away the chopsticks. Then she brought me a basin of hot water for washing my feet. She squatted down in front of me, wanting to wash my feet. I stopped her. "I can do it myself." But she insisted. With her rough but warm hands, she gently scrubbed my feet. "Fang Yuan," she said with her head lowered. In a small voice, "Thank you. Silly girl, we're husband and wife." I patted her head. "Were you scared today?" She nodded honestly. "When I saw you pull out the gun, my legs nearly gave out. But later, I was not scared anymore." "Why?" "Because I knew you were doing it for me. For this family." She lifted her head, her eyes shining beneath the dim oil lamp. "With you here, I'm not afraid of anything." That night, we slept in the same bed. She was no longer pressed tightly against the wall like before. Instead, she moved a little closer to me, though there was still a little distance between us. I knew our hearts were already pressed tightly together. Early the next morning, I shouldered a hoe and took Liu Ruyan to our mountain hollow field. The crisis was over. Now it was time to plan our hope. The victory that night would send ripples through the days ahead, long and far-reaching. The next day, the atmosphere in the Liu family courtyard became strangely tense. As soon as Liu Ruyan and I stepped out of our room, Liu Yuan, who was washing up in the courtyard, dropped the wash basin with a clang onto the ground. Water splashed everywhere. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. She scrambled back to her room on hands and knees. The door slammed shut hard. Liu Yuan stood by the window in her room, secretly watching us. There was no more scheming or mockery in her eyes, only pure, deep fear. They were finally afraid. That fear was more useful than any quarrel or beating. Liu Ruyan and I exchanged a glance, said nothing, and calmly washed up. Then I went into the kitchen. The pot was empty. Since the day we split the household, they had never touched the kitchen again. I took out the rice we had bought ourselves, washed it, and lit the fire. I only cooked enough for the two of us. The rich smell of rice porridge soon filled the whole courtyard. I could hear, from the other two rooms, the gulps of swallowing saliva, but no one dared come out. Liu Ruyan and I sat at the little table in the courtyard, eating steaming bowls of white rice porridge, with pickled vegetables on the side. The sunlight fell on us, warm and pleasant. It was a peace and ease unlike anything we had ever known. After breakfast, I shouldered my hoe. Liu Ruyan also picked up a sickle. "Let's go to work." She nodded hard, a smile on her face. It was the kind of smile that came from the heart, full of hope for the future. As we walked toward the back mountain, the villagers we met all looked at us differently. It was no longer sympathy, ridicule, or people watching the show, but a kind of reverence. Even a few elders who had never spoken to us before took the initiative to greet us. "Fang Yuan, heading out to the fields?" "Yes, uncle," I replied politely. "That is reality. When you seem weak and easy to bully, the whole world is full of villains. When you bare your fangs, everyone starts speaking to you with a smile." We reached that mountain hollow field. After the past few days of clearing and tilling, the weeds in the field had already been cleared away, but it was still far from ready for growing rice. "Ruyan, we need to level the field first." I pointed at the uneven ground. "We also need to dig a few channels, bring water in from the pond, then dig a drainage ditch, so too much water does not drown the seedlings. I described the blueprint in my head to her, bit by bit. She listened very carefully. Though she did not understand many parts, she chose to trust me without question. Just say how to do it. I will do it exactly as you say. What came next was pure physical labor. I handled the hoe and shovel to work the soil, level the ground, and dig the channels. Ruyan was responsible for clearing the edges with the sickle, breaking up the clumps of earth we had dug out. 2 people to farm tools. Launched the most primitive kind of conquest against those 5 mu of land. Sweat quickly soaked through our clothes. Mud covered our hands and faces, but neither of us complained. When we were tired, we sat on the field ridge for a while, drank some water, and kept going. At noon, Liu Fugui came by. He said nothing, just stood on the field ridge and watched us work in silence. He looked at the channels we had dug, at the land we had leveled, and there was both surprise and approval in his eyes. This channel is dug to straight, he finally said. If the water runs too fast, it can easily wash out the field ridge. You should dig it a little more curved, with some bend to it, so the water flows more gently. Then he pointed at our drainage outlet. This spot is too high. When heavy rain comes, the water will not drain out. It needs to be dug at the lowest point in the whole field. Everything he said was the most traditional and practical farming experience. It was something I, a project manager who only knew theory, had never known. I immediately stopped and listened. Dad, please tell us more. I took on the attitude of a student seeking guidance from a teacher. Liu Fugui was pleased by that. He tapped the ash out of his tobacco pipe, then explained the tricks of rice farming in detail. Ruyan listened beside me and kept nodding. I also memorized those valuable lessons. In the future, the combination of knowledge and traditional experience would be the strongest productive force. After Liu Fugui finished, he did not stay long. He tossed out 3 words, then left. Ruyan and I exchanged a smile. We knew the old man had truly started treating us like family. With my father-in-law's guidance, our work became even more efficient. We followed what he said and redesigned the layout of the channels, adjusting the position of the drainage outlet. The whole afternoon, we worked with the soil. By the time the sun was about to set, the rough shape of the whole field was finally taking form. Neat square rice paddies were clearly separated by the channels. Water from the pond slowly flowed in through the irrigation channel. It was still rough, but it already looked like a rice field. We stood on the field ridge, looking at our own handiwork. We were so tired our backs could hardly straighten, but our hearts were sweeter than honey. Ruyan leaned against me and said softly, I think we can do it. Not just can. I corrected her. We will definitely succeed. Now that the land was leveled, the next step was seedling nursery work. I took out that small half bag of aged rice seed that Li Bo had given me and set it out. Ruyan looked at those shriveled, dark, old seeds with deep worry on her face. Fang Yuan, these seeds have been stored for so many years. Can they still sprout? How would we know if we do not try? I smiled. I told her not to worry. If it were anyone else, these seeds really would just be a pile of scrap. But I had a way. I had her boil a big pot of hot water, then mix in well water until it reached about 40 degrees Celsius, warm to the touch, but not hot enough to burn your hand. Then I poured all the old seeds into the warm water. I also took from my pocket a few herbs I had prepared in advance, crushed them, and tossed them in. Some of those herbs helped promote root growth, and some killed germs and prevented disease. I had learned them in my previous life from that agricultural project. What is this folk remedy for? Ruyan asked curiously. Give the seeds a hot bath. Wake them up, I explained as I stirred. Then give them a little medicine, so they grow strong and are less likely to get sick. Ruyan listened with only a half understanding, but she felt that everything I did was so novel and so reasonable. The seed soaking process took a full day. Somehow, this news, for reasons I did not know, reached the ears of Liu Liuan and Liu Qiuyun. The next day, new gossip started spreading through the village. Have you heard? That stupid live-in son-in-law of the Liu family is going to grow crops. Grow what crops? I heard he took moldy seeds and boiled them, saying he was going to plant cooked rice. Ha! Is he just waiting for rice to grow straight out as cooked food? I think he has gone mad. He must have gone crazy over money. That plot of his was already nearly dead land. Nothing would grow there. And now he is using rotten seeds too. He is just waiting for disaster. Those words were naturally Liu Qiuyun's handiwork. She did not dare use violence anymore. So she started using her tongue as a weapon, trying to bury us under the whole village's gossip and contempt. When Ruyan heard all that gossip and snide talk, She turned pale with anger. More than once, she wanted to rush out and argue with them. I stopped her every time. Their mouths belong to them, so let them talk. We just need to do our own work well. Once the rice grows, everyone will shut their mouths on their own. I told her to put her mind on our other major matter, the pregnant sow. Her belly was getting bigger by the day, and her movements were becoming more and more awkward. That was our family's future bank account. We could not neglect her. I put the job of caring for the sow entirely in Ruyan's hands. She was even more meticulous than I was. Every day, she cleaned the pigsty until it was spotless. She chopped the freshest pig fodder into pieces and mixed in concentrated feed for her. She also talked to it every day. That sow was quite perceptive too. The moment she saw Ruyan, she would grunt and nuzzle over to rub against her hand. Ruyan looked at her with a motherly glow in her eyes, as if she were caring for her own child. Watching her change, I was genuinely happy for her. She was changing from a self-doubting, timid girl into a confident, responsible wife. She was becoming the mistress of this house. A day later, the seeds had finished soaking. I drained off the water, wrapped the seeds in a damp cloth sack, and placed them in the warmest corner of our room. Then I started the germination process. That was another thing the villagers could not understand. In their minds, seeds were just sown straight into the ground. What was there to make it so complicated? Liu Qiuyun's gossip soon took on a new version. She stuffed all the seeds under the blankets, saying she was going to hatch chicks out of them. I think she has completely lost her mind, and Ruyan is going crazy right along with her. The mocking laughter rose and fell all around us. Ruyan and I pretended not to hear a thing. We put all our energy into our work. By day, I dug out a small patch for the seedling nursery in the field and worked it with meticulous care. One applied base fertilizer. At home, Ruyan looked after the sow, preparing everything needed for the delivery. At night, I checked the seed's germination, and in that busyness and anticipation, the days passed one by one. Finally, on the third day of germination, I opened the cloth sack, and a fresh scent of life rushed out. Those once shriveled grains had already sprouted tiny, snow-white shoots. They had come back to life. Ruyan looked at those tender shoots, too excited to say a word. She carefully picked up one and held it in her hands, as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. Fang Yuan, they really came back to life. Yes, they did. I took her hand, and tomorrow we'll plant them in the field. Our hope is starting to sprout too. Outside the window, Liu Qiuyun and Liu Liwan were sitting in the courtyard, cracking melon seeds and pointing toward our room. Their faces were full of mocking smiles. They still did not know that a miracle about to shock the whole village was quietly brewing in this tiny storage shed. The weather was fine on the day we sowed the seeds. I took the sprouted grains and spread them evenly across the seedling nursery field we had prepared. Then I covered them with a thin layer of fine soil, and finally covered them with a layer of straw to hold in warmth and moisture. I did everything with absolute precision, as if I were completing a sacred work of art. Ruyan watched from the side with unusual seriousness. She wanted to remember every step I took and keep it firmly in her heart. While we were busy, Liu Qiuyun and Liu Liwan were supervising from their own field not far away. Their field was still overgrown with weeds. Oh, so you really did plant something? Liu Liwan called out in a sarcastic voice. Sis, do you think those moldy seeds buried in that mud will end up growing mushrooms or winter fungus? Liu Qiuyun gave a little laugh. How should I know? Maybe they'll grow into gold ingots. Their laughter was shrill and grating. I ignored them. Ruyan couldn't hold it in. Just as she was about to speak, I held her back and shook my head. Arguing with people like that is a waste of time. The facts will slap them in the face harder than anything else. The next few days were a long wait. Ruyan and I went to the seedling nursery field every morning to check it several times, watering it and checking the temperature, as if we were caring for a newborn baby. Aside from the straw we had laid there was nothing else in the field. The gossip in the village also grew worse and worse. Some people even set up a betting pool, betting on whether my field could grow seedlings at all. Most of them bet that it could not. Ruyan was under a lot of pressure. Several times she quietly asked me, Fang Yuan, what if they really do not grow? There is no what if. I answered with complete certainty. She believed me. On the morning of the 5th day, just as dawn was breaking, Ruyan ran to the field again. A little while later, she came scrambling back, her face alight with unbelievable joy. Fang Yuan, come quickly and look. She grabbed me, She was so excited she could barely get the words out. They've sprouted. My heart jolted hard. We ran to the field edge. I lifted away the layer of straw. In an instant, a dazzling wash of fresh green stabbed into my eyes. Those seeds we had sown by hand had all broken through the soil. They had grown into sturdy, lush green rice seedlings. They were packed tightly together, like a green carpet, spread across the whole seedling nursery field. Under the morning sun, they shimmered with the light of life. Ruyan crouched by the field, reaching out to touch them, then pulling back, afraid to. Tears slid silently down her face. This was the joy of success. Tears of hope. I let out a long breath too. I had won my bet. The news spread like it had grown wings, and instantly swept through the whole village. Those who had once mocked us, and waited for us to make fools of ourselves, all flooded to our field. When they saw that lush green patch of seedlings with their own eyes, everyone was stunned. Oh my God, they really grew. How is that possible? That field has not grown a crop in decades. Look how strong those seedlings are. Even wheat seedlings would not look this lively. Murmurs and cries of amazement rose and fell all around. Yuan and Wang came too. They squeezed into the crowd, staring at that stretch of green. Their expressions worse than if they'd swallowed a fly. Their lies, their ridicule, before this living, thriving green, were smashed to pieces. Village Chief Wang was in the crowd too. He pushed through the crowd, walked to the edge of the field, and crouched down to examine the seedlings carefully. He looked for a long time, very carefully, then straightened up. He looked at me with a deeply complicated expression. Fang Yuan, he said slowly, you are no ordinary man. That praise carried more weight than any compliment. Just then, a half-grown village kid came running up, panting hard. Sister Ruyan, brother Fang Yuan, something's wrong, our hearts tightened. Hurry home and take a look. The sow at your place is about to farrow. Ruyan and I exchanged a look. We did not care about the commotion in the field. We took off running for home at once. We rushed into the pigsty in the backyard. The sow was lying on a clean bed of straw, breathing in pain. Two pink piglets were already there, lying wet beside her. She's farrowing. She really is. Ruyan was so excited she did not know what to do with her hands and feet. Don't panic. I'll have her boil hot water right away. Get some clean cloth ready. I put on gloves and prepared to deliver the piglets. A new battle had begun. It lasted a full 2 hours. When the last piglet was safely born, Ruyan and I were both so exhausted we collapsed to the ground. But looking into the pigsty, at the big litter huddled around the sow, the piglets grunting and fighting to nurse, all our exhaustion vanished. Fang Yuan, count them quick. How many are there? Ruyan asked, breathless. I counted them again carefully. 12. Exactly 12. A full 12 piglets. And every single one of them was lively and kicking. Ruyan covered her mouth and cried tears of joy. In the countryside in 1995, a litter of 12, with every one of them surviving, was an enormous piece of good news. The seedlings had broken through the soil. The pigsty was full of piglets. Double happiness had come to our door. Our family's good days really are coming. We were still basking in overwhelming joy. Then a hearty voice came from the courtyard gate. Brother Fang Yuan. It was the butcher, Zhang. He poked his head in. When he saw that big litter of piglets in the pigsty, his eyes lit up at once. That look was like a wolf spotting a fat chunk of meat. He rubbed his hands together and came in wearing a broad grin. Brother, you're a real miracle worker. Shouldn't we talk business now? The butcher, Zhang, was smiling all over his face, his grin almost reaching his ears. He kept rubbing his hands, his eyes locked on that litter of pink little piglets, as if he were staring at a pile of walking gold ingots. Brother Fang Yuan, you really are a living immortal. This sow is a real moneymaker in your hands. I smiled, but did not take the flattery. Brother Zhang, business is business. I wiped the sweat from my hands. The 2 piglets we agreed on before. You can choose them now. Zhang froze. He had not expected that under these circumstances. I would still honor my word. He thought I would jack up the price on the spot. Brother. He was a little moved and a little embarrassed. No. I was just there to back you up and hold the line. And I did not really do anything. I cannot just take these piglets. One matter is one matter. My tone was firm. What Fang Yuan says always counts. What I promised you is yours. I did this not just for my reputation, but to win people over. The butcher Zhang was a man of some standing in the village. If I tied him firmly to my side, there would be plenty of times I could use that connection later. Seeing how resolute I was, he stopped refusing. He thanked me over and over again. Inside the pigsty, he carefully picked out the 2 strongest male piglets. He knew the female piglets were the future breeding stock, so this gesture from him was especially valuable, and it counted as his way of giving something back. Brother, with these 10 left, what do you plan to do with them? Holding the piglet, Zhang still could not help asking. That was 10 mouths to feed, and the feed bill would be no small thing. I did not plan to raise them myself. I looked at him. I want to do a much bigger deal with you. A bigger deal. Zhang became interested, so I laid out my plan. These 10 piglets, I am not selling a single one. I'm handing them all over to you to raise. I provide the piglets, and you handle the feed and housing. When the pigs are grown, we split the money by percentage. I get 70%, you get 30%. Zhang went completely still after hearing that. This kind of partnership was something he had never even heard of. Brother, you really trust me? His voice trembled with excitement. To hand over piglets worth several hundred yuan to him like that. What kind of luck was that? I trust Brother Zhang's character, and I trust your skill too. I buttered him up a little. If anyone in the village knows pig raising, no one knows it better than you. But then I changed tone. You have to listen to me on the raising methods. I'll listen to you. All right. I picked out the most important things from the scientific pig raising knowledge I had learned in my previous life, and told him a few key points. For example, the pigsty had to stay dry and well ventilated to prevent skin disease. For example, the feed had to be varied, not just pig fodder. And for another thing, they needed regular deworming to prevent epidemic disease. These things were common knowledge in later generations, but in a mountain hollow in 1995, they were unheard of new techniques. Zhang listened, stunned. The more he heard, the brighter his eyes grew. He was a smart man. One listen was enough for him to know these methods would work. Good brother, I'll listen to you. He slapped his thigh and made the decision on the spot. We'll do it exactly as you said. 70-30. No, that's too much. You take the bigger share. It'll take at most 20%. 30%, then, that's my final word. Letting the people who follow me make money is my rule, Fang Yuan's rule. I did not say it loudly, but it was enough for those standing outside the courtyard to hear me, along with the villagers who had not yet left. There was something new in the way they looked at me. Admiration. After settling the deal with the butcher Zhang, our family's first business venture had officially gotten underway. And next came another major task, transplanting the rice seedlings. Seedling nursery. The seedlings in the nursery field had already grown to 70-odd centimeters tall. They were lush green, with strong roots. It was time to send them to put down roots in a wider world. Ruyan and I went back to rising before dawn and working until dark. We carefully pulled the seedlings out of the nursery field, bundled them into little bunches, then transplanted them one by one into that 5 mu rice paddy. Transplanting rice seedlings was a skilled job, and an exhausting one. You had to stay bent over the whole time, backing through the icy mud and water. By the end of the day, your waist felt like it might snap. Ruyan had worked hard since she was little, and even she was so tired she could hardly straighten up. As for me, a former office worker, there was no need to say more. But I gritted my teeth and said nothing. I not only had to do the work, I had to do it to a higher standard than anyone else. The spacing of every seedling, the distance between every row, I measured with a ruler. Everything stood in neat rows, like soldiers on parade. Ruyan asked me why I did it that way. I told her this would ensure every seedling had enough room to grow and enough sunlight. That would help them grow better and absorb more nutrients. She half understood, half did not. But she still followed my standards. Once again, our actions became a spectacle in the village. The villagers all gathered on the field ridges, watching us farm as delicately as embroidering. They pointed and whispered, "What is Fang Yuan up to now? It is just farming. And he is even using a ruler. He really studied himself silly. I think he is just making a mess of things. With planting that sparse, how many pounds of grain can he possibly harvest?" Yuan and Yun naturally did not miss the chance to mock us. Their fields had already gone completely barren. The two of them simply gave up caring. Every day, they just waited around to laugh at us. Sis, don't they look like to fools? They look like fools to me, the hopeless kind. Their laughter echoed through the whole mountain hollow. But this time, not many villagers joined in, because everyone could see that not a single seedling we transplanted had withered. In the rice paddy, it took only 3 days for them all to green up. Then, at a speed visible to the naked eye, they began to grow strong and vigorous. That patch of green kept spreading every day and changing every day, full of astonishing vitality. A week later, our rice field had become a sea of green, but Yuan and Yuan's field was still a mass of dead yellow. The contrast was stark, like a resounding slap across their faces, right across their faces. By June, the weather was getting hotter and hotter. That rice field in the mountain hollow had become the most striking sight in the village. Our rice was growing beautifully. It was even taller than the wheat the villagers planted, and much sturdier. The thick stalks, the broad leaves, swayed in the wind, like green waves. The most experienced old farmer in the village counted on his fingers, and said that at this rate, the yield per moon might well reach over 1,000 jin. That number shocked everyone. You had to remember, in this barren mountain valley, the best wheat fields only produced 500 or 600 jin per mu. For Fang Yuan, this worthless patch of mud, to double, that was unbelievable. This was no longer a miracle. This was divine. Gradually, the villagers watching with heated interest changed their attitude. It was no longer mockery and doubt, but curiosity and investigation. They started studying the ditches I dug, the spacing I used when transplanting, and the water level I kept. They wanted to know what kind of magic I had used. At last, someone could not hold back. It was an honest man from the village, named Zhao Laosi. He had also been one of the villagers who followed me that night to Wang Dalong's house to demand justice. His field was right next to Liu Qiaowen's, and his harvest had never been good. Carrying a few eggs in his arms, he fidgeted for a long while, before finally coming up to me. Brother Fang Yuan, his face red with embarrassment. I want to ask how you grew this rice. How can it grow so well? I was weeding in the field, and when I saw him, I smiled. Fourth brother, there is no secret. You just have to make sure the soil is leveled and the fertilizer is applied in full, and you have to manage the water well. I explained some of the most basic field management points to him in the simplest language I could. Zhao Laosi nodded repeatedly as he listened, as if he were hearing a heavenly scripture. Then, why have my wheat leaves all turned yellow? I took a look and followed him to his field. One glance was enough for me to understand. Your land is too dry. The wheat is short of water. And look, the soil has crusted over. The roots cannot sink in. You need to loosen the soil, then give it a thorough watering. If you have wood ash, spread a layer on top. That will work even better. Half believing, half doubting, Zhao Laosi did as I said. 3 days later, his wheat seedlings actually greened up. That news, even more than our rice growing well, shocked the villagers. It showed that Fang Yuan's magic could be learned. After that, people came to me for advice one after another. One family asked what to do when worms got into the wheat. Another asked why the beans grew vines but no pods. I helped everyone who came. What I knew, I told them. What I did not know, I analyzed based on what I knew from my past life, and helped them work it out. I gave them advice. Gradually, I realized I no longer needed my fist or a gun to win other people's respect. Knowledge was the stronger power. It could make me the village's de facto technical authority. That feeling gave me more of a sense of accomplishment than taking down Wang Dalong ever had. Ruyan and I also became the most popular people in the village. Wherever we went, people greeted us warmly. Some even brought vegetables and eggs to our house. When Ruyan walked down the road, she held herself straight as a rod, her face unable to hide her pride and happiness. She had gone from the ugly girl everyone looked down on, to the capable wife everyone envied. And all of it was thanks to me. The way she looked at me was so tender it could wring water from a stone. Our days were getting better and better. Yuan and Yuan had fallen on hard times. Their fields were completely abandoned. The 2 pigs they were raising were also neglected. They had grown so thin you could count every bone. The only thing the 2 of them did every day was sit in the yard, watching my place and Ryan's house bustling with visitors, and seeing the villagers greet us with smiles. Their faces grew darker by the day. The jealousy in their eyes was almost turning tangible, as if it wanted to swallow us whole. Liu Fugui saw all of it, but he said nothing. He had drafted the agreement himself in the first place. They had chosen this path themselves. They had no one else to blame. That day, Yuan finally could not hold back anymore. She ran up to Liu Fugui, crying and making a scene. Dad, look at us. We're starving to death. Fang Yuan and Ryan are living in comfort, eating well and drinking well. And we can barely even get a meal. You can't just ignore us, can you? Liu Qiaoyun was also wiping away tears beside her. Yes, Dad. We know we were wrong. Please, put in a word for us with Fang Yuan. Liu Fugui took a drag from his dry tobacco pipe, saying nothing. Only after they had cried themselves out did he finally speak. When you split the household back then, you took the best land, the biggest pig. So now the land won't grow grain, and the pig won't grow meat, and you want to blame someone else. The old man's words were like knives. If you're really hungry, then sell your land and your pigs, and buy some food. Liu Yuan was left speechless. If they sold the land and the pigs, they would truly have nothing left. Liu Fugui gave them another look. Go beg Fang Yuan. Ask him to teach you how to farm, how to raise pigs, and how to raise pigs properly. Let's see whether he'll be willing to teach to ingrates like you. With that, Liu Fugui got up and left. He left the two daughters standing there in a daze, their faces full of humiliation and despair. How could they ever bring themselves to beg Fang Yuan? Watching Liu Fugui walk away without hesitation, a bone-deep chill flashed through Liu Qiuyun's eyes. She grabbed the dazed Liu Yuan and dragged her back inside. Sister, what do we do? Do we really have to go beg him? Say it. No way. Beg him. Liu Qiuyun let out a cold laugh. In the dim room, that smile looked especially sinister. We are not begging anyone. Don't they want a good harvest? Then I am going to make sure they do not get it. Fang Yuan has skill and brains, but can he defend against a natural disaster? Sister, what do you mean? The weather forecast says there will be a torrential downpour in 2 days. Liu Qiuyun's eyes flashed with madness. The mountain hollow field is the lowest ground, and when that time comes, all we have to do is tear open a hole in the upstream dam, and his 5 mu of rice, all his hopes, will be washed away by the floodwater. The torrential rain came as promised. Starting in the afternoon, the sky grew so dark it seemed ready to collapse. Huge raindrops pelted the roof in a rattling roar, and soon it turned into a pouring sheet of rain. The whole mountain village was shrouded in a white curtain of rain. Liu Ruyan sat by the window, looking outside with worry all over her face. Fang Yuan, with rain this heavy, our rice field won't be in trouble, will it? Don't worry. I'm checking the old hunting rifle. I was carefully wiping it down with oilcloth. I had already made preparations. Our drainage ditch was dug deeper and more winding than the irrigation channel. As long as nothing went wrong upstream, this bit of rain would not flood our land. Liu Ruyan was still uneasy, but my heart was pounding hard. Don't scare yourself. I hid the gun again and went to check on the pig pen. You keep the door shut. Do not open the door even if I come back. I threw on a straw rain cape and put on a bamboo rain hat. Then I walked into the curtain of rain. I did not head for the pig pen. Instead, I moved in complete silence toward the dam in the back mountains. I had already expected Liu Qiuyun and the others would never let this go easily. Their only chance to turn things around was to destroy my rice field, and the most direct way to ruin a rice field was to create a flood. The torrential rain was their best cover. The mountain road had turned to mud, and it was nearly impossible to walk. I stumbled my way to the dam, sinking deep and then shallow with every step. It was a small earthen dam built by the village decades ago to fight drought. It had gone unrepaired for years, and it was already falling apart. I did not get close. Instead, I hid in a dense patch of woods nearby. The rain was coming down hard, and the wind howled like ghosts crying and wolves baying. In weather like this, no one would come to a damn place like this. I waited patiently, like a seasoned hunter, waiting for my prey to walk into the trap on its own. Minute by minute, time crawled by. I was soaked through, wet and cold, but I did not move an inch. Finally, late into the night, 2 sneaking figures appeared in the rain. They were wearing raincoats, and each had a shovel in hand. It was Liu Yuan and Liu Qiuyun. Just as I expected, they came. Behind them was a tall man, Wang Dalong. My eyes turned cold. These 3 really were like lingering spirits that would not leave me alone. Guilty as thieves, they kept looking all around on the way. Only after making sure no one was around did they start to act. Wang Dalong was strong. He swung his shovel, digging shovel by shovel at the weakest part of the earthen dam. Liu Qiuyun and Liu Yuan stood right beside him, helping him throw the dugout dirt into the water. The rain perfectly covered their voices. The gap in the earthen dam grew larger and larger. The backed-up water behind the dam began surging out through the opening, forming a muddy torrent that rushed downstream, straight toward my rice field. Make it bigger, Liu Qiuyun urged excitedly, her voice shrill. As long as the field ridge is washed out, those rice plants will be completely finished. Liu Yuan also let out a vicious laugh. Let me see how smug he is tomorrow. Wang Dalong was also digging and panting hard as he said, Fang Yuan, you forced me into this. If I cannot have it, then you can forget about having it too. They were lost in the thrill of destruction, completely unaware that not far behind them in the darkness, a pair of cold eyes were locked on them. I did not step out right away. I was waiting for them to take it all away, waiting until the evidence was undeniable. Finally, under Wang Dalong's full force strike, with a thunderous boom, the gap in the earthen dam was torn open completely. It became a hole several yards wide. The mountain flood that had built up all afternoon was like a wild horse off its reins, roaring and charging toward my rice field. Roaring and charging toward my rice field. The three of them gave a victorious cheer. It was as if they could already see my rice field flattened to the ground, and the miserable sight of Liu Ruyan and me crying our eyes out. Just then, a bolt of lightning split the night sky, lighting up the space behind them, and revealing a figure like a ghost. Are you happy now? My voice was not loud, but it was as cold as ice from the deepest hell. The smiles on the three faces froze instantly. They whipped around and saw me, as if they had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. Fang Yuan. Wang Dalong was so scared he threw down his shovel. Why you? How are you here? Why wouldn't I be here? I walked toward them step by step. This is my land, my field. You rats wanted to steal my crops. Of course I had to guard it. Don't come any closer. Liu Yuan backed away in terror. Then she fell flat on her ass into the muddy water. What do you want to do? Having a gun is illegal. Illegal? I laughed. My laughter was cold enough to freeze the bone. You dug up the dam and let the water out, ruining someone's farmland. And that isn't illegal. By law, that's a serious crime. The three of them were speechless. They thought no one would ever know. They never expected me to catch them red-handed. But today, I am not turning you over to the authorities. I slowly drew the old hunting rifle from behind my back. The black muzzle, lit by the lightning, glinted with deadly cold light. Because some debts, I like to settle myself. I aimed the gun at Wang Dalong. Wang Dalong, I gave you a chance, but you kept crossing my bottom line again and again. Today, we're settling old debts and new ones all at once. Wang Dalong's legs shook like chaff. He wanted to run, but his feet felt like they had been filled with lead. He could not move. A strangled, desperate howl burst from him. Just as I was about to pull the trigger, 18 people suddenly rushed out from the woods behind me. They were carrying torches, and they had clubs in their hands. Leading them were village chief Wang and my father-in-law, Liu Fugui. Behind them came the butcher Zhang Die, Zhao Laosi, and the villagers who had once received my help. They had been lying in wait nearby all along. This was my setup, a trap meant to catch them all at once. Village chief Wang looked at the torn open embankment, at the hunting rifle in my hand, and at his son, who was scared out of his wits. His face went deathly pale at once. He knew everything was over. Village chief Wang looked worse than a corpse. The axe in Liu Fugui's hand behind him glinted coldly in the torchlight. The villagers who had come with them were glaring in fury, the hoes and carrying poles in their hands, silently declared where they stood. Wang Dalong, Liu Qiuyun, Liu Liwan and the other to collapse completely into the muddy water. They knew. They were finished. They had fallen into a trap they would never climb out of. Fine, village chief Wang gave a bitter laugh. In that instant, he seemed to have aged 10 years. He looked at me, his eyes full of despair and fear. Fang Yuan, what exactly do you want? I do not want anything. I slowly moved the gun off Wang Dalong's head. I only want justice. I pointed at the torn open embankment, then at the rice field below, ravaged by floodwater. Village chief Wang saw it all. They wanted to destroy my roots. If I had not been careful tonight, if I had not stayed here ahead of time to guard my year's hard work, my whole family would have lost its only way out. My voice carried far through the rainy night. Every word landed like a hammer, striking village chief Wang's heart, and striking the hearts of all the villagers. Dad! Wang Dalong crawled and stumbled toward village chief Wang's feet, hugging his leg and wailing. Dad, save me. I do not want to go to prison. Liu Qiuyun and Liu Liwan also snapped back to their senses, crying and begging for mercy. Dad, we know we were wrong. Brother-in-law, please, spare us. Their cries were shrill and tragic, but no one pitied them. Village chief Wang closed his eyes. He knew there was no way to turn this around anymore. With so many witnesses and physical evidence right here, the moment we report this to the authorities, his son is ruined for life, and his time as village chief will be over. The only way out is to beg me to let this go. He opened his eyes, looking at me with nearly pleading eyes. Fang Yuan, see if this thing can. No, I cut him off immediately. But I am not a man without feelings. Then I changed my tone. After all, Yuan and Yuan are, in name at least, still my sisters-in-law. Family shame should not be aired in public. Village Chief Wang's eyes lit up. He saw the last thread of hope. You mean? My meaning is simple. I held up 3 fingers. First, tomorrow morning, the 3 of them must publicly admit their wrongdoing in front of the whole village. Kneel and apologize. And confess every shameful thing they did, without leaving out a single one. Village Chief Wang went pale. This would ruin them completely. Second, my rice field suffered such a disaster. They must pay compensation. I will not ask for much either. Just calculated at 1,000 jin per mu. Add 50 cents a jin. 5 mu comes to a total of 2,500 yuan. A gasp swept through the crowd. 2,500 yuan in 1995 was absolutely an astronomical sum. It would be enough to build 3 large tile-roofed houses in the village. That's robbery. Village Chief Wang's wife screamed. I shot her a cold glance. Compared with their breaching the dam and flooding the land, this is me being merciful. Village Chief Wang grabbed his wife and stopped her from saying another word. He knew that whatever I wanted now, he would have to give me. Third, I looked at Liu Yuan and Liu Yuan. Both collapsed on the ground. I want their land and their pigs, at the price written in the original split household agreement, not a penny more. From this day on, they have nothing more to do with the Liu family. Get out of this village, and never come back. These 3 conditions, one harsher than the last, bankrupt and exiled, I would cut off every way back for them. By the time Liu Yuan and Liu Yuan heard the last condition, they passed out on the spot. Village Chief Wang stood in the rain, his body swaying as if he might collapse at any moment. He looked at me, his lips trembling for a long moment. In the end, it seemed every ounce of strength had been drained from him. He slowly nodded. I accept. I lowered my gun. I knew that from this moment on, I had won this battle. I had won it completely. I walked over to Liu Fugui. Dad, let's go home. Liu Fugui looked at me, his expression impossibly complicated. There was shock, relief, and a trace of lingering fear. In the end, he only gave my shoulder a heavy pat. The rest of us turned and left. We left Village Chief Wang's family, and the 2 unconscious women, in the cold, muddy water, along with the wound that could never be repaired. The breached dam. The next day, the skies cleared. The sky after the rain was blue like a flawless gemstone. The atmosphere in Liu Family Hollow was even more oppressive than during the storm. The village committee courtyard was packed wall to wall. Men, women, young and old from the whole village had come. In the center of the yard stood 3 people, Wang Dalong, Liu Yuan, and Liu Yuan. They were covered in mud from head to toe. Their faces were deathly pale. They looked like 3 defeated, sickly hens. Village Chief Wang stood behind them. In just one night, half his hair had turned white. He held a loudspeaker in his hand, in a voice of utter humiliation and pain, and publicly announced the crimes committed by his son and the 2 Liu girls, all over again before everyone, from the original rumors and slander, to the later pig theft, and then last night, breaching the dam and flooding the land. Every single offense left the villagers staring in stunned disbelief, their anger boiling over, kneeling on the ground to confess their guilt. Village Chief Wang roared at his son, with all the strength he had left. Under the gaze of the entire village, the 3 of them banged their heads again and again against the hard earth. We were wrong. We are worse than animals. We let Fang Yuan down. We let Ruyan down. Their voices were full of despair. From this point on, they would never be able to hold their heads up in this village again. After the public humiliation, came the compensation. In front of everyone, Village Chief Wang took out nearly all of his family's savings and scraped together a large sum by borrowing wherever he could. He managed to gather 72,500 yuan. Wrapped in a cloth bundle, he handed it to me. The money felt heavy in my hands. It was the Wang family's blood money, and it was also my first real fortune. Next came Liu Yuan and Liu Yuan. They were like walking corpses. When they were brought before Liu Fugui, the original split household agreement was brought out, shaking all over. They pressed their thumbprints onto the transfer agreement. The 5 mu of good land under their names, along with 2 skinny pigs, were transferred to me for a price that was practically free. They became mine. After all that was done, Liu Fugui looked at the 2 daughters he had once loved the most, his eyes showing not a trace of emotion. Get out, he said only 2 words. From now on, I, Liu Fugui, will pretend I never had you. The 2 women carried a tiny bundle, containing their last few pieces of clothing. Under the scornful, spitting gazes of the whole village, they walked out of the Liu family step by step. Their sobbing echoed through the valley for a long time. No one felt sorry for them. After everything was settled, I took Liu Ruyan straight to our rice field. What we saw there stunned everyone. The paddy was indeed a mess. The field ridges were covered in marks left by floodwater, but the water in the field had already been drained away through the drainage ditches we dug. It was drained clean. The rice stalks that had been battered sideways by the flash flood in the sunlight were stubbornly standing straight again, one by one. They had only been washed over, but their roots were still firmly anchored in the mud, without suffering any real damage. My God, this is unbelievable. Are these rice plants made of iron? Fang Yuan, did you already know this would happen? The villagers looked at me, as if I were a deity. I smiled. I don't know. I only know that as long as the roots go deep enough, there is no need to fear wind or rain. People are like that. So are crops. Liu Ruyan looked at that green sea, lost and found again, and at the man standing beside her, a man who seemed capable of miracles. She walked over, and for the 6th time in front of everyone, she hugged me tightly. Fang Yuan, she said, her voice trembling with tears, yet full of strength. Thank you for that night. Our little hut was brightly lit. Ruyan and I spread the 2,500 yuan out on the bed, and counted it again and again. Liu Ruyan's hands were shaking. Her eyes were shining. Fang Yuan, we have money now. I took her hand. Ruyan, once the rice is harvested, we'll tear this house down, build a new one, build the biggest, brightest brick house in the whole village. She nodded hard. Her eyes were full of happy tears. From now on, our life will only get better and better. I pulled her into my arms. This is only the beginning. Autumn arrived right on time. Liu family hollow. Welcome to harvest season like no other. Especially the 10 mu of rice fields in the mountain hollow. Golden waves of rice rolled in the autumn wind. The heavy rice ears bent every stalk low. The sight was even more beautiful than a painting, and even more breathtaking. On harvest day, almost the entire village came. They were not there to watch the spectacle. They came to help. They came with sickles and smiling faces, walking into the paddy of their own accord. It was their respect for me, and their gratitude for me sharing my knowledge without holding anything back. Liu Fui came too. He personally went into the field and cut the first sheaf. He weighed the rice ears in his hand, and the wrinkles on his face crinkled into a smile. Good rice, good rice. I've lived for more than 70 years, and I've never seen grain this full. The whole harvest felt like a grand festival. People's laughter and singing echoed through the valley. Liu Ruyan wore the new clothes I bought her, as she moved along the field ridges, bringing everyone water and food. Her face glowed with confidence and happiness. There was not a trace left of the timid, self-doubting girl she used to be. She became the most envied woman in the village. Once the rice was cut, it was threshed, dried, and weighed. When the accountant wrote the final number in red ink and posted it on the village committee wall, the whole of Liu family hollow erupted. A yield of 1,800 jin per mu. My God, 10 mu is 18,000 jin. The rice made us rich. Fang Yuan's family is rich beyond measure. That number hit like a bombshell, shattering everyone's understanding. I became a legend in Liu family hollow. A legend about pulling gold ingots out of muddy ground. And I was the one who created that legend. The rice had been harvested in abundance. The pigs had grown too. Butcher Zhang Da raised 10 pigs according to my method, and every single one was fat and sturdy. Each sold for nearly 300 yuan, a very good price. Our partnership from the beginning made him money he would never have dared dream of before. He took my share of the profits and respectfully handed it to me. His eyes were full of admiration and gratitude. I did not rush to sell the rice and pork to the grain station and buying depots in town. I hired a big truck and loaded the best rice into the Liu family hollow spring water rice packaging I designed. I packed up the best pork, already cut and portioned, and hauled it straight into the city. I found several of the biggest restaurants in the city, and the state-run unique canteens. I did not talk price with them. I only let them taste it first. After tasting how fragrant and sticky my rice was, and how fresh and delicious my pork was, the managers and directors all lit up. They fought over taking my goods, and offered prices 30% higher than the market rate. When I drove that big truck, backloaded with brand new furniture, brand new appliances, and a 21-inch color TV, back to the village, the whole village came to stare. It was livelier than New Year. I really tore the house down. I hired the best construction crew in the county, and on the original foundation, built a 2-story, small Western-style villa with red bricks and green tiles. The courtyard was paved with cement, and the walls were built high. It became the most eye-catching landmark in the village. On the day we moved into the new house, I put a thick stack of money. I pressed it into Liu Fugui's hand. "Dad, this is for your old age." The old man looked at the stack of money, then at the brand new house, then at his radiant daughter and capable son-in-law. His eyes reddened. He said nothing. He only silently put away the tobacco pipe he had polished for a lifetime. Put it away. From that day on, he switched to filter-tip cigarettes, the Johnson brand I bought for him. At the end of the story, it was a winter afternoon. Liu, Ruyan, and I sat in the courtyard of our new home, basking in the warm sun. She leaned against my shoulder, knitting me a sweater. Peaceful days, steady and prosperous. Liu Fugui walked out of the house with his hands behind his back. He looked at us, and a satisfied smile spread across his face. He came over to my side and handed me a cigarette. "Boy," he said, with amusement in his voice. "At first, I really thought you were blind." I took the cigarette and smiled. "What about now?" He took a deep drag, then slowly let it out. Through the smoke, his eyes had never looked brighter. "Only now do I understand. You've got a sharp eye, kid." I turned my head and looked at my gentle, beautiful wife. She was looking up at me too, smiling. Her smile was brighter than the winter sun. I said nothing else. I knew the best decision I'd ever made in my life was that choice everyone else had gotten wrong. I saw something no one else could see. I saw her kindness and resilience, and I saw a lifetime of happiness for the two of us.